Hey, party people. The final step of Croquis building. How to draw fashion figures. Step 4 of 4. The last step. Are you excited? Are you excited? We're almost done. So close. Can you taste it? I can taste it. No, I'm just tasting coffee. Never mind. So, we are going to tackle our figures. We're going to finish them up. They're going to be amazing. You're going to be so proud of yourself that you actually stuck it through and watched all these damn videos and did the practice. And then, you know, once you practice these 4 steps and keep going, you can eventually just make any figure you want ever. You never have to watch these damn videos again. You don't have to listen to me prattle on or read some book about how to do it. You'll just be able to do it. You'll be like, anytime you want a fashion figure, you'll be able to do it. It's amazing. And I'm so caffeinated right now. Oh my God. I'm gonna stop talking. I'm gonna start drawing. All right. So in this step, oh my God, I'm so caffeinated. In this step, we're gonna do a few things. Number 1, we're going to make any corrections to the figures we have so far. Remember before how I said I like to flip figures over and do corrections on the other side? I like doing that. We could do this. Flip her over. Here's a pencil. This is a pencil you actually have to sharpen. Just so annoying. My fantasy is to have colored pencils, especially white, done in mechanical pencil. And I've seen a few of them. I've seen red and blue, but the lead is so hard that the color isn't very potent. You barely see it. Like, what's the point of that? No, I want soft, vibrant color. I want soft lead with vibrant color, but I want it in mechanical pencil form. Dear art supply magicians, can you make that happen? Please, pretty please. So what I like to do in preparation for step 4 is I like to flip my step 3 over, and I like to take a correcting pencil and make any changes. Like, look at that. I totally made her breast really lopsided. All right, let's make her a little bit more symmetrical, shall we? No. I think the rest of her looks pretty good. So let's flip her back in and tape paper down, etc., etc. Number 2, you want to complete your figure. And by that, I mean, I want you to add faces, fingers in your hands, like a hair shape. At this point, you don't need to like draw every single strand of hair, but it's good to like have, you know, if your figure is gonna have a bob, like to draw kind of a basic bob shape. I will do videos where I discuss at length how to do fashion faces and also how to do fashion hair. But for today, you know, I'm just gonna leave it as is. Here's her head. Don't forget her ears. Ears are those things where we don't think a whole lot about ears, and then people don't really notice them until they're missing. And then I'll be at crit and I'm looking at it. It's like, you guys, what looks funny? And some people just look at it and they don't get it. I'm like, her ears are missing. They're like, oh shit. If you wanted to do a bob, this is where I would just kind of go in and, you know, give her a little bob shape for her hair. There's where her eyes would sit. So we're gonna change the bodies at this point. You know, we have finished our step 3, so we can move on to making them skinnier, making them fatter, and making them curvier, making them more muscular and toned, and emphasizing certain things. You know, you got to think about your customer. Think, oh yeah, I'm going to focus my brand on pear-shaped girls. You know, a line of clothes that really suits women with pear shape. I'm going to make my patterns accommodate women with larger hips and thighs. And so I want my croquis to reflect that, so that as I'm designing around this lovely hips and thighs feature going on. And so this is where we do those things. We add the flesh, we take out the flesh, whatever you want to do. The number one thing you have to remember is whatever you do to one side, you have to do to the other. Because unless you're literally making a correction, like, oh, I made one arm way thicker than the other, you got to keep it balanced. And not only that, is you have to address both sides. Like if you are thinning out a leg, you have to really decide, oh, am I thinning out the whole leg, or am I making a correction on one side? Okay. So no matter what decision you make, it has to be a deliberate decision and not just willy-nilly, you didn't do it right, like, oh, you forgot. It has to be, oh yeah, I meant to do that. Here's her Roger, here's her beautiful trapezius, clavicle. And I'm going to trim down her upper body a hair, and then I'm going to slim down her legs a lot more. When you are working this small, this is what, like a 9-10 inch figure. When I say things like, you know, make her a little skinnier, make her a lot skinnier, whatever, I'm talking about 1/16 of an inch, the width of my pencil lead. Just teeny tiny increments. I'm not talking 1/2 inch, 1/4 inch, giant measurements. So when I say I'm gonna make her a little bit skinnier, I mean I'm gonna draw just on the inside of my previous torso line. This is also why I use these skinny mechanical pencils, because the width of your pencil can really change the proportions of the whole drawing when your drawing is this small. I'm going to keep this line. I'm going to straighten out her forearm. And then I'm going to slim down her leg up quite a bit. When you make thighs skinnier, you definitely want to only take out a tiny bit in the middle and take out a lot more in the hips. Everyone is obsessed with thigh gap, and it's like, whatever, you can take it or leave it. But the thing is your thigh gap shouldn't get so big that you could have a third leg growing in between your legs. So be careful as to how wide to make your thigh gap. I'm gonna trim her calves quite a bit. And here's my kneecap and my foot in here. Oh, I forgot her boob. Boob. And there we have our more slender fashion figure, step 4. And at this point, I would add her face. Why is it that we need these complete figures with faces? Even if I'm not going to be drawing a face with every croquis, I'm totally not, you know, like most of the time I really don't. But what I really like is having the face and the hair there as a reflection of the customer I'm designing for. It really helps design. So if you have a muse and you put that muse on your croquis, the style of the girl as she walks down the runway, it's like, oh, she's gonna look like this and she's gonna look like that, and I'm gonna have her makeup like this or whatever, like, or, you know, in the ad campaign, I want to feature so that she looks like a mermaid and she's dripping wet and like half her skin is green. Like, whatever look muse you're going for, to have that in your Croquis figure so that you're reminded and looking as you're designing actually really helps with the design process, because it's like, don't forget your customer. It helps for designing, helps for merchandising, your salespeople will love you, all that good stuff, right? Don't forget your customer. So for this one, let's pretend I'm going to make her really curvy. I want like everything in and out, like teeny tiny waist, really round hips and thighs. And then I want to make her wrists and her ankles really small to even accentuate the curves even more, like stylize it a little bit so she just looks extra luscious. Give her a Veronica Lake sort of thing going on. Just the shape. I'm gonna make her face a little bit more delicate and add her face later. I'm going to, there's her clavicle. And I want to bring her shoulders in a little bit. So I'm going to shrink her rib cage, and again, you're going to shrink both sides of her rib cage and just make that waist really small. And then I'm gonna raise her high hip, so we're gonna make that beautiful curve happen. When you shrink the rib cage, male or female, you also have to bring her shoulders in and, you know, bring her arms in, because otherwise you will create this giant armpit gap, really ugly negative space. It's just gonna look like her shoulders went past where you are. It's just, it looks like her shoulders dislocated, but still managing to stay upright. Medically impossible and visually strange. So we're gonna bring her in. And again, you gotta bring that in so that her hand is still resting on her waist. We're gonna keep that beautiful negative space in here. Her hand in here. Yes, I'm gonna teach you how to draw hands. No, I don't really like drawing hands either. Don't worry about it. There's her clavicle, again, sitting right over her armpit. And we're gonna bring her arm in too. Whatever you do to one side, you gotta do to the other. Because I made her hip wider, I gotta like move her hand out and in. Keep her knee the same size. And I'm gonna make her ankles and her wrists really small. Remember I said that before? She has no thigh gap. Who cares? So while I'm making things bigger, making things smaller, I'm still keeping the shape of the anatomy still true to the anatomy, not adding lumps in places. Again, that's one of those not human things that I would critique. You got strange lumps, go see a doctor. And here you have your standard figure, and then you have your new step 4 figure that's curvy and luscious and hourglassy. And at this point, you know how her upper body is facing us, but her lower body is twisted a little bit. So I would actually add her side seam. Like that. Because if she was wearing jeans, we would see that much of her side seam. We would see her inseam too. And it's good to add these on your Croquis. The more information you can add, the better, as a really great working template. Lots of people like to add their princess seams. Here's a shoulder princess. And here's a bust princess. And so, you know, every time you're doing a drawing, every time you're doing a design, you know where the princess seams go, you know where the darts are supposed to go, you know where the side seam goes, so you don't have to think about it. Again, you're thinking about the variables, like how beautiful to make this collar, you know, a couple of different layers of different fabrics and how it lays on her bust, and you're not really thinking, oh, where does the side seam go again? And it also reminds you that you need one. And you might be thinking, Zoe, my shit is really avant-garde and I don't do side seams. Side seams are so pedestrian. Shut up. You gotta know where a side scene goes before you get to dismiss it, okay? Picasso, he knew how to draw beautiful, regular, real female figures before he started cutting them up and putting them back together again. All right, so you need to know where they are before you can put them somewhere else. So here's step 4. Feel free to explore and have fun with it. Look, at the end of the day, it's hard work, but it's only worth it if it's fun, right? So go and have fun, find your muse, and draw her out. I'll see you next time.